All right, and it is time for our next run. We have TempestMask1000. Next run, we have TempestMask1000 playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the arcade. Take it away.
Turtle Power! Hello, friends and fellow gamers. My name is Tempest. Some of you know me as Steve, your friendly neighborhood storm. And today I'm back here and running for reals with a bit of a arcade classic, a beat 'em up by Konami themselves, and the first of many for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. So this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first arcade game of 1989. I guess we just call it TMNT Arcade, and yeah, not to be confused with the NES game of 1989 release year as well, but the second and certainly a iconic one as well. So I'm going to be playing any percent one player, pretty self-explanatory, beat the game as fast as I can. For this, I'm going to be Donatello. The reason for that being he is probably the best turtle, bar none, especially when it comes to his special attack with the bow staff's range, and just the fact that, you know, the damage dealt is something you're probably going to be seeing me do a lot. So time will begin once I hit the start button, and we'll get this thing going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Hang on, April. Alright, so folks, like I said, this is a beat 'em up, and as you may recall, the usual objective of them, beat the enemies, progress through the game as fast as possible. The major idea here is that these foot soldiers are generally what's going to make the camera move, so the more I defeat, the better, and that was a pretty interesting kill right there. Normally I just let the wrecking balls that fall down the stairs kill those two right there, but that's actually funny, because I don't think I was expecting that invisible slam collision. Now, you will see that I have put in at least 20 credits into the arcade machine, and so the idea is that, well, I'm going to be dying a few times intentionally. These are Roadkill Rodneys, by the way, our first enemy outside of the foot soldiers. They can be probably some of the most annoying enemies that the game has to offer. Also, you saw that one foot soldier hit the wall, and his death time was extended quite a bit, which I needed him to die a little bit sooner in order for April's scream to trigger the automatic movement. But yeah, we'll try to avoid that as best as we can, and we're already up to our first boss, everyone's favorite Charger Rhino, Rocksteady. I'm going to give myself a bit of serious time to do a quick kill. Oop, alright, well that unfortunately botched already. So let's see here. I might have almost saved it, whoops. Okay, that's not too bad though. It's not ideal, but you know what? We're just here to have a good time and raise money for charity, so, you know. Oh gosh, well, hey, actually charged. That's, I hardly let that happen in a speedrun, so he's really nasty today, that's for sure. Alright, there we go. That's a bit more like it. Thank you, buddy. A bit of a rowdy showcase right there, but we got the moonwalk, so that's always fun to put off for you guys to see. And now for scene 2. So anytime I enter a scene title, my health will recover entirely. That also doesn't usually happen, seeing the manhole cover hit that foot soldier. And folks, here comes the iconic. Tonight I dine on turtle soup. Yeah, it started here, folks. It wasn't just Turtles in Time. Or at least I'm almost positive that, who knows, maybe that was a 80s show line, which this game is very much based on. Now, the fun thing about this as a speedrun is there is a trick coming up in this level, one of the only major speedrunning discoveries that we found through Sewer Bushido, and she found that we can skip a decent chunk of level to avoid a few enemies and have to worry about, you know, just dealing with them in general. So I'm gonna be showing off the Sewer Bushido skip in just a moment. Of course, I have to worry about these foot soldiers. The reason I'm gonna let myself die a few times is because there is a ranking system in the game that, well, first I'm gonna need some time to focus on the trick right here. I am currently holding in the downward right direction and constantly pressing the attack button to push Donatello through the screen, because the camera trigger apparently keeps moving, and we get into an enclosed boss arena with Bebop. So, gonna have to quickly try and get this good before we get the camera having to scroll further, because the game does have that little hurry indicator right there, but Bebop's behaving a lot more. And we're good to go. And I will go down a hole that does not exist. That's one of my favorite things about the trick, too, just the side effects of having done so. It's always funny to see. So welcome to the sewer level. It's not a Turtles game without one. The sewer water here is actually going to start to be just a little bit dangerous once I go just a bit further. And so I'll get up right here, because from here on out, there will be random missiles hidden within the water. So I do not want those to cause me any grief, and that's basically that. So I did mention there is a ranking system, and how that works is every 2 or so minutes within the game, the difficulty will slightly increase, but also with the more enemies that I kill as well. So that actually was the fastest instance of getting knocked down and losing a life thanks to the Mousers right there, because once they grab onto you, that's instant health damage, so I don't get knocked back, and that's exactly what you saw right there. That was actually very optimal. We have a sewer grate right here, and that's the only time they actually went out of their way to set one up as an obstacle, so I'm not sure why they felt the need, but pretty sure Turtles in Time does bring it back, so... And there's an example of one of the aforementioned missiles right there. And of course... Oh, no! Oh, dang it! I hate it when I get juggled like that. That's unfortunate. Thank you, game. Thank you kindly. Alright, no problem. Let's get that pizza. I'm an Italian, what can I say? I love me some pizza. Alright. Take care of these enemies. Wall jumping is also a thing within this game, by the way. I just don't really do it that often. It's usually against a solid object. I would have assumed that you could do it off of nothing, like I once erroneously said when I was doing commentary for L-Rock at rather Awesome Games Done Quick this year. But, so it goes. And, so, let's see if I can... No, I guess the game doesn't want me to do it right now. Oh well. Let's just take care of these Mousers. There we go. Shoutouts to my buddy Cyphrin. There we go. You got your wall jump. Alright, here comes Baxter Stockman. I'm going to perform a manipulation here called the Magic Pixel Trick. And as you can see, I'm standing in a very specific spot. And it's forcing Stockman to have to go up and down only, which makes for a very easier kill. Now, if he did start flying around, not too much of a big deal. Fun fact, if you are familiar with how this game got a home port on the NES called TMNT 2, the arcade game, Stockman doesn't just stop there. In this level, when you get to it, he also shows up in his fly form. This was not included in the game at the time, so it was one of the several inclusions that makes the home port certainly one of its an experience of its own, and I highly recommend it too. Oh, that's weird. Why did that barrel not explode? That's never happened before, I have to say it. Scratch off your bingo cards, folks. Alright, let's set up right here. And we got the car kill, good. Not all of them, though. That's unfortunate, and I am getting pushed back just a tad here, so no big deal. Now, like I mentioned, Donatello has a very powerful special attack. You've just been seeing me use the regular moves just a bit too often. But the special attack is what happens when you press jump and attack at the same time. Now, I'm actually using a special binding. Oop, hang on. Okay, so you unfortunately just did something that I was not expecting myself to do, and that is activate the fight way too soon. Unfortunately, now we have to face Bebop and Rocksteady just a bit more like how they expect us to. What I was hoping to do was get another series of quick kills on the both of them. So now this is what happens. We got to see the double charge move, though, a very iconic little silly animation that the two of them just do because, you know, it's that part of their dynamic, don't you know? Yeah, the Baxter Stockman fly fight in the NES version completely replaces the double refight here. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of time loss, so we'll just pass it on over to the host for any announcements or donations if we got any.
Alright, well, if you are enjoying this event so far, we do have a Discord where you can meet runners, staff, volunteers, and hang out as we look to host more community events. We're also always looking for more volunteers, whether it's restreaming, host, chat mods, anything that you think you are able to do. We would love to have you help volunteer for future events. We are looking to expand after this event, hopefully even doing a 24-hour marathon. So if you are interested in helping out at all, be sure to join our Discord to take a look at that and see if there's a role that's right for you.
Thank you so much, Izzy. Alright, so with that in mind, we have eventually gotten to save April there, and the kiss scene, if you're playing with more than one players, the turtle that gets kissed is whoever has the highest kill count by that point, so you're noticing that as my little score thing right above my health bar. That's exactly what that is. Now, Roadkill Rodneys, there are some beefy enemies. You've been noticing that I can do a dive kick, and that's my mid-air attack, but there's also a regular strike move. My recommendation for any newcomer players to this game is try to let your character jump, but then let go of your directional stick and then input the diagonal direction like right after. And that usually works for me 9 times out of 10. They're not as powerful as the special move, but they still do a decent amount of damage, much to the point that for Roadkill Rodneys, 2 dive kicks will take him out just as 2 special attacks will, so they're still very effective in some ways. And it's, that's mostly how it goes right now. Obviously trying to get a few environment kills on the enemies, because the foot soldiers just could not understand the meaning of friendly fire. And after this will actually be a perfect time for a bit of a break, whether that means, y'all getting in some donations. If you got the time, you'll have plenty of opportunity to get them read coming up pretty shortly. Otherwise, I will say that in this next section of the highway scene, we've got a bit of skateboarding, and I will be waiting for 3 loops of the music. I'll be trying to kill as little enemies as possible as part of a manipulation, just to make the overall cleanup process, once the 3rd loop comes, a lot faster. And then that'll be our 3rd scene. So, yeah, pretty much that. So,
Awesome. Well, while that happens, I would just like to remind everyone of what we are raising money for. We are raising money for the Real Hope Project, which is an organization which makes videos for kids who are currently experiencing foster care and are awaiting an adoptive family. Each reel is provided free of charge to the representative county or adoption agency as a recruitment resource for prospective adoptive families. These videos let the families see more than the kids' trauma. They let them see their hobbies, what they love to do, and what it means for them to be a part of a family. This is a super important cause, getting kids adopted and showing prospective families and parents who these kids really are rather than the trauma associated with them. So be sure to go to therealhopeproject.org to learn more, and I'll leave it back to you.
Thank you so much. All right, folks, we're coming up to the 3rd music loop, and in just a short while, I'm going to be taking care of these 3. If I get it just right, hopefully no more enemies will spawn. There we go. Almost. Just one more guy. And we're good. Nice. Nice highway. Very nice highway. So, only 2 scenes left. We're coming up to Scene 4, and then Scene 5 afterward will be some of the shortest levels within the game, but this is also where the difficulty really ramps up, so I gotta be extra considerate of that, and try to remember the enemy placements to the best of my knowledge. Now, there are other ways to play this game. I did mention, by the way, that I am using a special binding for my special attack, so I actually have that mapped to my Y button. I will say I am emulating off of MAME, but there are easy ways to play this game and all the other Konami TMNT titles through the Cowabunga Collection, which is available for Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. So definitely get on that if you ever feel the need to relive some Turtles retro-era stuff, especially for the 80s folks. I also highly recommend that anybody that grew up with these games try out Shredder's Revenge, which is a bit more of a recent title. I know we also recently had Wrath of the Mutants, TMNT Arcade Wrath of the Mutants, come out this year. That's a home port of a 2017 arcade game featuring the 2012 TMNT. Just give me a second before I finish that sentence. It's that overgrown corkscrew again. Nice, 5 kills of those bots. Those fly bots only appear in that one scene, and yet they can be the worst to deal with. So the fact that I got that lucky there is especially nice. Alright, unfortunately I'm going to have to be extra considerate. I did not want to pick up that pizza too soon, but oh well. Yeah, Roadkill Rodneys have hitboxes that if you manage to get them with your special attack, consider yourself the luckiest person on the world. There we go. Alright, we're coming up to the Fun Police. This is Granitor. A few bosses coming up here up until we get to the final boss will no longer take extra damage from the special attack. Rather, it's going to be a matter of me trying to poke and kite this fella as many times as possible. Granitor's flamethrower is also the worst, considering that if you get hit by it, there will be a special damage animation that will cause you to basically get comedically burned as a cartoon do. And, well, yeah, that's obviously going to waste me some time, so the least amount of that possible, the better. Of course, he can also chain you. He has a very, very reactive hitbox, and he can choose to just slam you as many times as he can. He can also, you know, choose to taunt you. He's also blue. Pretty sure he wasn't like that in the one time that he appeared in the actual show. A lot of enemies in this game may have only appeared maybe once or twice, depending on, like, the syndication of the 80s show itself. And yet the Mousers became such a classic video game enemy that they're basically immortalized for their video game appearances and often remembered and obviously thrown into future TMNT incarnations as well. Yeah, I did mention that we had Wrath of the Mutants get its long-awaited home port, at least in my opinion, because I'm pretty sure my local bowling alley, or not local bowling alley, a bowling alley not too far from me, still has the arcade cabinet. I would say 7 years to release that might have been a bit long, but hey, I would definitely say get the game while it's on discount. It's not a bad time, and it may not be. It may not. I guess I've got a few mixed things to say about it, but it's still a fun time in my opinion. Your mileage may vary, but yeah, thank you for at least finally porting that to home systems. Is what I'm trying to get at here. Excuse me if my vernacular seems very contradictory. Also, shout out to the what is it? Mutant Mayhem continuity for getting its own Paramount Plus show. Glad to see that getting some new continuation going on to its name as well. Very, very nice movie, and I recently got to check it out for myself too. About time. Alright, so this is the Technodrome. This is our final level, and this is probably the shortest level of the game. You just saw me dodge like 2 freeze rays, but don't be fooled, there were a lot more in that section. It just so happens that sticking to the top path is also the least hazardous as possible. Shame that I didn't get to show any enemies doing the airwalk, because once you get that elevator moving, they basically go back to their home planet, if you will, and Roadkill Rodney's doing that is especially fun. Funniest thing I've ever dang seen. Okay, guess we get to save the pizza. I'll put a few extra credits into the machine, though. And, oops, okay, yeah, this is what happens when things get really nasty. But we are on to the final wave of enemies coming in the game, so after that will be a boss rush. Let's just take care of these Rodneys before I accidentally start the General Trag fight. And voila. Okay, cool. So like I said, we got General Trag coming up. He's another rock person like Granitor from Dimension X, so he's similar to Granitor, and yet he's got a grenade launcher, or sorry, rocket launcher. Thanks for correcting me, game. So yeah, again, same strategy as before, but not as punishing as Granitor by any stretch of the imagination. So let's keep it going. I'm just gonna focus a little bit. I'm gonna use that pizza. Oh, he's actually behaving a lot. Runner's Jinx, excuse me. Keep it going a little bit. On the lowest difficulty, I would say that from what I've gauged, he takes only 1 hit less to defeat compared to Granitor, which is a very random metric. Oh, that's a fun stun lock right there, by the way. You saw me get a really funny pattern where his hook wasn't hurting me whatsoever. And by the way, you can get electrified in the gate as long as he's still active, so try to avoid that. Turtle power. Alright, last two bosses, we're coming into Krang. Yes, you are, until you're not. And so, if he gets a good hit on you, his super suit is gonna just do a little Shao Kahn taunt. Like that. Wow, I am very much jinxing myself a lot today. Definitely the most health within the game, so at least 50 or so hits. And also, I will say that this theme you're hearing right now eventually got a bit of a remix in Shredder's Revenge. So, well done from T. Lopez. I keep forgetting which is the proper way to say his name, but yeah. Same composer that worked on the soundtrack for Sonic Mania. Real musical whiz and then some. Very much a fan of his work. So, yeah. Of course, big kudos to the developers at Konami for making all of these games. Really nice to see them just release more retro collections. They've done a lot of those already, especially for Castlevania, Contra, their arcade classics, you know. There's so much. There is, like... Oh! I forgot. I didn't mean to let the countdown screen go on. I was fixing my mustache for a second. Yeah, this is the part where I get a little distracted. No problem. Hey, at least I got a gold split on that one, so we're all looking pretty nice and dandy. Here comes the Shredder fight, though. And he'll split into two clones. One is a fake. It's usually the one that goes to the right. I still want to hit that Shredder because that right there, you just saw his helmet come off, so that is proof that it is the fake. Now, unfortunately, the manipulation that I wanted to pull on the real Shredder is a bit botched at the moment, so let's see if we can't fix that, because that makes this fight just a little bit easier. But at this point, Shredder will take more damage from my special attacks, so I will be trying to use that as much as possible. Now, you saw that he tried to use a magic attack. That was the Mutagen Beam, and if it hits me, it's an instant kill. But once he loses the helmet, he's no longer able to do that. So once the real Shredder loses his helmet, it's only a few more special attacks until he's down for the count. And time... well, that's a good example of the instant kill right there. I am doing everything wrong with this game, and yet this has been a pretty decent enough run, I would say. They may go over a little bit over the estimate, though, so I apologize if that is the case. But let's just try to bring this on home, shall we? Yeah, Shredder not playing all too nicely today, so it is what it is. Oh, no. Well, we lost a clone, so now he's going to split up again. So now this is going to be very interesting. We now get to see what happens. Okay, that had to be the fake one. Come on, game. Let me bring it on back. All right, almost done. Time will be once we see the Technodrome after Shredder is down, so... that's it. And... great. 3, 2, 1... time. There we go. And that, folks, is TMNT Arcade from 1989. Thank you so much for having me. This is a very, very fun game to just get to present to others, and I would also argue it is probably one of the easiest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles speedruns to get into overall. Nothing too complex about the combat, just gotta know your general logistics of how to really shred things up. Just enemy placements, and of course the Sewer Bushido skip is probably one of the easiest things to learn about the game as well. Just a very fun time, pretty short speed game, and I highly recommend that if you all want to take part in any kind of TMNT speedrun, join the TMNT RTA Discord server. Links can be found in the speedrun leaderboards. Very nice community as well. Shout out to friends in that community, such as, of course, Cyprin, General Andrews, Elrox617, and Rotor Storm 331, and many, many more. Now that's going to do it for me. I will say that I originally did have another run for you planned, but unfortunately, due to some sudden circumstances, I did have to pull that one out. That said, I will be running it later on down the month, and I do plan on doing a little something to make up for the lack thereof of Spark the Electric Jester 2. But with that said, thank you so much to Running for Reals for having me once more, and here's hoping we'll see each other again soon. That said, enjoy the rest of the marathon, folks, and let's keep on raising money for our charity. Until then, my name's Tempest, and I say, ciao, amici.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that amazing run. Coming up next, we have Super Mario 64 Eureka ROM Hack 100 star being run by Ludwig von Koopa. We're going to be